of March. Hey, good morning. Today is the 5th of March, 2018. So pleased that you found some time to spend with me. I hope you're doing well. I'm doing pretty well this morning. I got a good night's rest last night. Very pleased by that. So today I wanted to talk a little bit about drawing. That's right, drawing with all types of media. And in particular, I wanted to talk about drawing with my iPad Pro. Now, I have a sense that drawing is something that you enjoy in your pastime. It's something that that you do for fun, and it may be something that you're passionate about. I can imagine that drawing is a way for you to express yourself, to share meaning with another person. I can imagine that it is how you process events that happen in your life. Uh, Situations arise, and drawing is a way to help you think through what's going on. It's a method, it's a strategy. Maybe it brings you calm and peace. Maybe you feel really fulfilled when a drawing meets your standards, right? Meets your expectations. You know, um, Maybe I don't know if it's just the act of drawing that gives you pleasure, or maybe it's the result of the drawing. But it might be a combination of both, which helps you grow and thrive and live and learn. Well, for me, I like drawing because it's quite often about discovery, right? It's about exploration. Um, and it's also about accomplishment. I'm after when I look at a completed drawing, and I sort of remember all the hard work that went into it, I'm proud of myself. And um, I'm proud about the way it looks quite often. And I say something, I say to me, I say phrases using my inner voice like, look at that. Isn't that amazing? It looks good, you know? And I feel happy as a result, right? My mood brightens up. And so I've been enjoying drawing using my iPad Pro, my Apple iPad Pro, and my Apple Pencil. And what I like about the using electronic media to draw is how easy it is to share. So, for example, if I had like watercolors and I had some watercolor poster board that I was drawing on or painting on. Once I finished the artwork, how do I share it with other people so they can enjoy it too? Well, I guess I would have to take a picture of it and then email it or text message it to someone. Um, and then here's the thing about the watercolor. Quite often it doesn't look as good in photographic form as it does in real life. And so, it's kind of a struggle. Um, Sometimes it's a big difference between the way the photograph captures the watercolor and the watercolor itself. What I like about the digital media is that it basically looks the same always. If it looks good on my computer, it'll look good on someone else's computer. And it'll look exactly as good. And, I don't have to take that photograph. I don't have to set up a desk or lighting or get my camera out. And then, once the photo is taken, depending on what kind of camera I use, I've got to figure out the technical aspects of getting it off the camera and getting it into email. It's all like this big old rigmarole where if you start the image in digital media anyway, it looks fine. In fact, what's cool is that you can print out many copies of the image very quickly. You just press print, and the printer basically reproduces the image on paper, and that is actually really convenient. So one thing I also like is that I can incorporate it into my other documents. Like if I created a watercolor, unless I put my watercolor in other images and other art as a collage, I wouldn't necessarily be able to incorporate the drawing. But when I use digital media, I can easily insert my pictures into other documents, spreadsheets, PowerPoints, Word documents, and even future drawings in electronic media. So there are a lot of benefits to electronic media. And here's another benefit. When I use like crayons or colored pencils, let's say I have the standard Crayola box of 64 colors, right? So if I'm out and about in town and I want to do some coloring with crayons, well, I've got to basically tote that box of 64 Crayola crayons with me everywhere. If they've got to hang out in my car, and hopefully it doesn't get hot enough in my car so that it melts my crayons. Somehow I got to find a bag or something, like an art kit, to tote my my drawing materials with me. And then I'll need a special kind of paper, right? And then maybe I need special erasers, right? Plastic erasers. Or, there are all these tools like stencils. Okay, yeah. Then there's like rags and napkins and cleanup supplies. I mean, the list of things go on and on and on, like brushes. If it's a watercolor kit, then I've got to worry about water and make sure that my brush is charged. I mean, there's so many details. But when you're using electronic media, the only thing that you care about is, for me at least, toting along my iPad Pro. And that's easy. I just fit it in my book bag and I tote it around wherever I am. I believe it or not, I take my iPad Pro everywhere I go. Anyway, it's always with me all the time. So I never have to worry about whether I've left supplies behind. I can imagine wanting to do watercolors, but I forget my paintbrush. I might have the color and the paper and the subject all ready to go, but because I forgot my paintbrush, or maybe I just forgot I forgot my water. Water's all gone, right? Then I got to track down water. It becomes this whole hassle. And it's also art that I can do in a library, or at work, right, during a break or something, or during my lunch break or something. It's really convenient working with digital media. So I think that's what I like about digital media a lot. It's the convenience, it's the ease, it's how easy it is to communicate. And what I can do with that image is I can slap that image using various programs on the internet. I can slap that image on a mug. I can make lots of mugs with that image, or I can put it on a t-shirt. I can put it on a cap, that image on a baseball cap or a bumper sticker. And it's really versatile. Whereas with a watercolor on paper, it's basically there on paper. And then, if I want to treat it well, like if I want to treat it well and give it the sort of the dignity and respect that it deserves, then if it's like a watercolor piece, then I need to find a frame for it. And then I need to get matting around the picture, and then I got to put up the frame in my room. And it's just, I don't know, as you can tell, I'm a real lover of digital media. And what's great about their digital media is that it takes no space. It's just basically takes up space in the iCloud, space on my hard drives. So basically, it takes no room. I don't have to accommodate. There are a lot of painters who have entire rooms devoted to frames and canvases. This whole thing, they've got this whole setup, right? They need space. Whereas with digital media, you don't need any space at all. You just need the device, right? You need to plug it in every once in a while, which I do anyway. So it's great. It's really convenient. And then, so I've really been enjoying drawing with my iPad Pro lately. And in fact, yesterday I purchased a really neat book using Amazon. And so I've got the book on my Kindle app. And in fact, it's called The Drawing Book for Kids. Let's see if I can bring up that cover. So this is the book that I ordered. The Drawing Book for Kids, 365 daily things to draw step by step. And dang, I tell you, I'm enjoying it. I like this step-by-step drawing method. I haven't really figured it out so much, but what it does is, see, here's an example of one of the pages. There's a chameleon, and he gives you a partly drawn chameleon. And then there's a koala bear, and it just shows you how to pull together a koala bear. So, I really appreciate that. It's new for me. And anyway, I'm getting a kick out of it. And there's also something else. I've been using Procreate, right? And I must say that my drawings still are a little bit, how should I say, beginner. But what's cool, here's a recent drawing that I had. What's cool is that I can sort of show a video about how I pulled that drawing together. Check it out. See how I'm going through my process. There's mermaids in front of a shell, and then there's a seahorse, and then it looks like I'm creating a waterfall now and a mountain scene, and now I'm adding water, and then I decided I didn't like the water and I deleted it, and then I titled my piece. So I don't know about you, but that's fun. That's just I think is an awesome way to share my work. And I don't know. I'm really liking it. One thing I like the sense of accomplishment I get from creating the picture, and I like the ease of import and export, and it's just I think a creative way to spend my time. I think I'm going to unbutton my button. So I just wanted to share how much I've been enjoying drawing. I actually have an interest in drawing subject matter that is sort of surreal. I don't colorful, maybe like spiritual, or how should I say, profound, growing. I don't really know how to. I'm just developing this sense of the kind of art that I'm interested in producing. So, for me, that's always an exploration. What do I want to draw next? I'm always thinking about that. Anyway, that's that. Maybe what we can do now is we can go over some questions through a question and answer period. That sounds like it could be fun. So let me pull up my Kindle and find the book that's got the questions. And there it is. And so here's the next question. Of all the tools and gadgets you own, this is question number 247. Which one do you most enjoy using? Okay, I enjoy using my iPad Pro the most. I just I just bought it like 3 weeks ago and I'm already in love with it. In fact, I went to the Apple store last weekend in Glendale, California, and it was kind of neat to peruse that store. And I think it had been the first time that I've actually been inside an Apple store. I've always kind of been a PC guy, IBM PC guy. Um, you know, Microsoft this, Microsoft that, and so it's kind of refreshing to learn about a new operating system. Now, granted, this is the iOS; it's not the Mac OS. So it's not. In fact, the iOS is very similar to the Android operating system. That's one of the things I found. Now, I did sort of overgeneralize. One of my first introductions into computing was with the Apple operating system. My dad bought his first computer, and our family's first computer. Actually, I don't know if it was our family's first computer. Our first computer was a computer that I received from my uncle, John, his VIC 20. And man, I love that computer a lot. And I don't think we never did get a Commodore 64. But Dad eventually bought a computer for his business. It was an Apple Macintosh 128K computer. I still remember it vividly. It was such a powerful experience to have one around. I loved using Paint, and I loved playing chess, and there's so many aspects of that computer that I enjoyed playing with. There was like a document drafting program. I forget what it was called. Maybe it was just called Word or Notes. I don't remember what the word processing software program was for the Apple Macintosh 128K. But I enjoyed pulling together a lot of my reports using the Macintosh 128K and printing out the reports using the dot matrix printer. Yeah, I still have a love for dot matrix printing. The technology has changed a little bit. After dot matrix, there was inkjet printing, and I guess that's kind of what we have now. We still have inkjets. Then the technology shifted over to laser, but not everyone transitioned over to laser. Anyway, so I have had exposure to Apple operating systems in the past. And, I got that exposure when I was young. We're talking about when I was 12, 13, 14 years old, when my dad bought a 128K Macintosh. So anyway, so that's my favorite gadget right now. It's my iPad Pro. Okay, what's the next question? Question number 248. What is one of your favorite souvenirs brought back from your travels, and where do you keep it? Well, here's the thing. I really don't buy a lot of souvenirs when I travel. Although the souvenir that comes to mind right now is actually a souvenir that you're involved in. I remember your mom and I, and then you, when you were a child, maybe 4 or 5 years old, we walked to Solvang, or we went to Solvang, just a nearby city. And your mom bought a mug with your photo on it. And I think she bought it in Solvang. And I actually have it. I still have it. And it's actually something I really cherish. And regrettably, the mug's handle cracked off. And it's now separate from the mug itself. Now, I bought some permanent glue, some like super glue, and I hope to attach the handle back to the cup again soon. But the cup basically has a picture of you on it. Anyway, I'll have to show it to you one of these days. So, what other souvenir have I got? Souvenirs. I actually don't buy a lot of souvenirs. For me, the souvenirs that I bring back from trips are the photographs that I take during the trips. It's those photographs which are the souvenirs. Yeah. All right. So, what's the next question? Question number 249. What's your choice? Baseball, football, frisbee, hacky sack, or boomerang? Well, first of all, it's not baseball. I do not care for baseball. In my mind, baseball is an extremely dull game. It's even dull to play. I don't know if you've ever played a baseball game, but it involves basically lots of waiting. There's waiting, so much waiting. You're basically standing in place on the field, waiting for the ball to come your way. And a lot of the times, it doesn't. And then when your team is up for bat, you're also waiting to get up to bat and have your 3 tries, right? I don't know. It's a pretty slow moving game in my view. Everyone's pretty much not moving. It's not like soccer where people are continuously moving if you're playing soccer. It's not like basketball where you're continually moving. I mean, really continually moving. For every second of the game, you're pretty much moving. Whereas baseball is like stationary. Now, there are periods of time in baseball when people do move. I mean, even if you're really engaged in the play, let's say the ball pops up and you're ready to catch it. You move, maybe you might run 10 or 20 feet. Okay. And then you catch the ball and then you throw the ball. So essentially, when you're in the outfield, you've run 20 feet, and that's the extent you run 20 feet. Yeah, that's about it. That's what baseball is. In one inning, you might run 20 feet. That to me is a really low energy game. And then when you're up for bat, how much energy are you expending as you swing the bat around? Like 1 calorie, 2 calories. You're lucky if you expend 2 calories when you're trying to hit that ball with the bat. There's not a lot of calories to burn when you're playing baseball. It's not an efficient fat burning game. So I'm not a big fan of baseball. So let's see. The next game is football. Now, I actually, when I was a kid in middle school and elementary, I played football all the time and had a really good time. I played flag football and 2-hand touch flat football, even touch football. It's totally fun. In fact, we would play with Nerf football, and I'll tell you what, as a kid, I was enamored with the Nerf football. And, I still am. I think I have 1 or 2 Nerf footballs in my car right now as we speak. And, I don't play with that stuff half as much as I ought to. I have a really soft place in my heart for Nerf footballs because I used to love playing football when I was a kid. I would get together with my friends on the playground and we'd set up a little football game. There might be 5 or 8 of us. And man, that was fun. I still remember Jack throwing the football and we'd catch it, or I'd catch it and then run to the end zone. I mean, come on. So much fun. And you know what? I sure do love those Nerf footballs. So easy to catch. That's not I of course we played with the regular pigskin football too, right? The leather footballs. You know, as a kid in middle school, those footballs were, first of all, they're very hard, right? You catch a football and you're in pain for like 10 seconds, 5 seconds, recovering from the discomfort of catching such a hard ball. And then not only that, footballs are pretty slick, right? They're basically leather, and you know, they can easily slip through your hands. They're not easy to grab. They're also not easy to throw. If you think about it, throwing a football is like tossing a boulder. You know, it's just not easy. You basically have to loft it. You sort of basically loft it with the palm of your hand. You're not actually throwing it like you might throw a baseball using your fingers. I mean, the lofting is mostly a wrist action. It's like shot put. Essentially, it's football shot put is what it is. So I'm not a really big fan of the leather football. I like the newer, smaller footballs. They've got plastic footballs now, which are tiny. They also have really raised ribs on them so that you can grab a hold of them really easily. So I like the newer footballs. I like the Nerf footballs, and I like the small form factor plastic footballs. And you know, football, when you watch it on television, is a lot more fun to watch than baseball. So I can watch a football game. Quite often the commentators are really good. They really give you insight into the plays, and the graphics on the screen are interesting to look at. You know, so they've done a really good job presenting football on the television screen, and so I like football a lot. Now, how about the other game, frisbee? I love frisbee. I just need to find a person to play frisbee with half the time. But yeah, I like playing frisbee, and in fact, this summer I hope to play a lot of frisbee. Looking forward to playing a lot of frisbee this summer. Should be fun. All right, what's the next? Hacky sack. Hacky sack's a fun game. I like hacky sack. Love that hacky sack. And then boomerang. You know, here's the thing. I have only thrown a boomerang, and it's usually been like those frisbee boomerangs. And then there are those boomerangs that are triangle shaped, which are probably the best kind of boomerang, I guess. You know, boomerangs and throwing boomerangs is kind of a challenge. So, anyway. So, what are my favorite? What's my choice? Baseball, football, frisbee, hacky sack, or boomerang? Well, I would say football, frisbee, and hacky sack. Now, here's the thing about hacky sack. While I love hacky sack, I just don't have the skill to pull off the hacky sack kicks. And I know it's all about building that skill. I'm just not there yet. You know, that little leather pouch can be propelled pretty fast away from my foot in all kinds of random directions. And anyway, so of those three, football, frisbee, and hacky sack, I think my favorite is frisbee. Because frisbee is a game that I can play with just one other person. And it's entertaining and fun and active. Football, it's actually kind of hard, unless you're just playing catch, which I love to play catch. Football is a lot of fun, but playing a real football game, you need extra people. You know, you need at least 4 people to play. At least 3 other people besides yourself to play football. Yeah. Okay. What's the next question? Question number 250. What are the best and worst sounds in the world? Okay. Well, I think laughter is probably the best sound that there is. Yeah. And worst sound is probably the crying of a baby. Because everyone's attention just zips to where the source of the crying, and then I am naturally concerned. I've become concerned. You know, I my heart goes out to the crying child, right? And that's how the child communicates discomfort, and I want to soothe that child's discomfort, and so it's bothersome. That's the point. That's the point. So I think for me, those are the best and worst sounds in the world. Okay, question number 251. When you go to a movie, do you like to sit in the back, middle, or the front, and why? So, in general, if it's a really special movie, I try to get a space in the center of the movie theater. But if it's just like a regular old movie, I'll probably sit in the back. I don't have to be like super duper close to the straight to the screen. I have been close to the screen before, and it can be uncomfortable. You're looking up. There's a lot of distortion when you're really close. Like the screen is like this, right? But when you're like right under it, the screen is like totally oblong. It's like really tweaked, and you get a really, forget about cinematography. Because each image is squished and extended. It's really long. you gotta shift your head from side to side if you want to look at the left or right hand part of the screen, and then everything is squished. Everyone's face looks like a pancake if you're right underneath the screen, and then plus your neck gets a creak in it or a crick. It's not the most pleasant experience. So like I said, I tend to go for the middle seating if it's like a super good movie that I want to have a nice experience at. But otherwise, if it's just a regular movie, I'll just probably sit in the back. I don't have here's the thing. Everybody's got the same idea. Everybody in the audience has got the same idea about getting a place in the center of the seating arrangement. And so sometimes you gotta sort of, there's like a race. I don't want to, sometimes I just don't want to participate in the race, right? I just want to enjoy my time at the movie theater, and I don't have to jockey to get good position at the movie theater with the movie theater seats. Quite often what I like to do too when it comes to seating in a movie theater is I like to get a seat near the aisle, because inevitably it happens. It's a 2-hour movie, right? And if I need to use the restroom, the last thing I want to do is crawl over 5, 6, 7 people to get out of the seating, and then when you're done, climb over 5, 6, 7, 8 more people to get back in your seat. In the meantime, you're blocking the view, disrupting their concentration when they're trying to focus on the movie. I got better things to do. So it's really nice to get near the aisle if you can. It's easy to evacuate too. So what's the next question? Question number 252. Where's your favorite spot in which to view the sunrise or the sunset? Well, I think one of my favorite spots of viewing sunsets is at the beach. Yeah. And then sunrises, you know, I like the mountain sunrises. So long as you're not in a big valley. Like I've been camping before and the sun doesn't come over the mountains, doesn't peek over the mountains until it's like 10 or 11 o'clock a.m. because we're at the bottom of this canyon, right? And the sun just doesn't peek out. It's just cold in the morning. Yeah. So not the ideal place to look at a sunrise. Um, but if you're far away from the mountain, then sunrises can be quite spectacular if there are mountains nearby. Yeah. Or at least if there are mountains in the far background. Okay, so question number 253. What's your most and least preferred forms of exercise? Explain. So right now, my favorite form of exercise is the Jacob's Ladder. It's the ladder mill. I've spoken about it a couple of times in the past. And I don't know what kind of exercise is your favorite, but I'm guessing that running is your favorite exercise right now. And I'll tell you, running is also one of my favorite exercises. It is certainly a challenge. Yesterday, I ran for 40 minutes, and part of that run I ran at 6.2 miles an hour, and I ran that for 30 minutes. And let me tell you that's certain. I mean, it wasn't really hard, but it was challenging, particularly toward the end. Oh boy. So what's my least favorite exercise? Well, right now, my least, first of all, I only try to do exercises that I enjoy. You know, if you're going to spend some time at the gym, you better find an exercise that you're going to like, because it's got to be something that you want to do at least once a week, or else you just won't keep it up, right? So my least favorite exercise, believe it or not, is bicycling right now. And it's not that it's just a little monotonous. I do stationary bicycling, and that's probably the reason why. In fact, I'm told very regularly that if I just bicycled out of doors, like on a real bicycle, instead of a stationary bike, that I would get a lot more enjoyment out of my bicycling experience. And you know what? I totally expect that would be the case. But there are other factors to consider, you know, and I think I've touched on them before about you sort of have to find a route that you're going to travel. And for me, I'd like that route to be relatively free of cars if I can. And bicycling, you know, it sort of depends on the weather. Like if it's really raining outside, bicycling is just not going to work outdoors. Or if the wind is really blowing, like particularly if it's a really fast wind that's cold, like a chilly wind. Yeah, who wants to bike in that kind of weather? I don't know, not me. So I don't know. There's drawbacks from bicycling on a stationary bike, and there's benefits too. I mean, I like, first of all, being out of the weather. So I don't know. I have a feeling that bicycling with a real bike out on the streets would be a lot more exciting. It's certainly exciting because I'm putting my life and limb at risk. Especially now, you know, today when people ride their bicycle on the road, they're not just contending with the cars rolling its speed on the roads beside them. They're also contending with this fact of modern society where drivers are not only driving their vehicles, but they're also text messaging on their cell phones at the same time, or listening to their beats, you know, their tunes through their portable headphones that are embedded in their ears. uh, they've got these amazing amp stereo systems, and they can be very distracting. Oh, because we have access to all the best music ever produced. And yeah, that brings a lot of enjoyment to driving. It also brings a lot of distraction to driving. And so, yeah, as a bicyclist, I can imagine bicycling on the road being a lot more exciting now that people are text messaging and driving at the same time. Golly, people are checking their Facebook feeds. They're checking their Instagram. They're doing it for the gram, man. They're doing it for the gram. Hey, I can respect that. But when I'm riding a bicycle, I'm basically hoping that every vehicle is driven by drivers who are paying attention to the road. Good luck with that, huh? All right, so the next question is question number 254. Growing up, what was your favorite fairy tale or children's story and why? Boy, I just had so many. The one that really pops into mind right now is Brer Rabbit and Brer Bear, or Briar Rabbit, Briar Bear. The Brer Rabbit series of books. And the reason is I really have a special memory of me being rocked by my grandmother while she was reading me those books. And a special memory that is just powerful. And, it's a very warm, soft, loving memory that I have, a time that I shared with my grandma and me while she was rocking me in the rocking chair. And I guess that's part of the reason why that's my favorite fairy tale. Let's see. What else did I like? Well, I liked a lot of things. I liked the Peanuts comic strip by Charles Schulz, particularly the animated stories that were on television during the holidays. Those are some good times. Yeah. Checking that TV. Watching TV. Let's see, what else? Growing up, what was your favorite fairy tale or children's story? So growing up, I don't know, there were really a lot. I liked Hansel and Gretel. At least I read one or two books about that when I was a kid. My favorite fairy tale or children's story. I don't know. There certainly were a lot. All right, we'll move on to the next question. Question number 255. What's your choice? Jigsaw, crossword, or numeric puzzles? Well, I would have to guess jigsaw. I think jigsaw would be my favorite kind of puzzle. Anyone could do a jigsaw puzzle. All it takes is time and a little bit of effort, and you can pull together a jigsaw puzzle. And I like that. There's this sense of completion. Now, a crossword puzzle, I've tried that before, and I don't think I've ever fully completed a crossword. Maybe I've completed one. But for the most part, 99% of the crosswords that I've ever started, I have not been able to complete. Because they're so hard. I'm just not, my brain is just not that literate. Coming up with what's a 5-letter word for such and such. The clues are often in crossword puzzles. Really hard to figure out. I'm really stumped by them. Maybe it's just that I don't read enough books or know enough history, or maybe I don't read enough news. Maybe I don't watch enough network news. And maybe that's the problem I have with crossword puzzles. I'm not sure, but they definitely take a certain skill to pull together. All right. And how about numeric puzzles? Yeah. There was a time when I used to play a little bit of Sudoku. I don't play that Sudoku game anymore. After a while, it just got a little bit too ordinary. And, I appreciate the fact that the game even exists. To me, it's like this logical, magical thing. Who knew that numbers from 1 to 9 or 0 to 10 or something like that could be arranged in a pattern in that way, in those ways? I don't know. That's amazing. The logical possibilities are amazing. But it's not a game that I play a lot. In fact, I haven't really picked up a Sudoku game in years. Okay. Question number 256. What is your favorite bumper sticker or t-shirt slogan? Well, I guess right now mine is the one having to do with religion, coexist, where all the letters in the word are shaped using religious symbols. I think that's my favorite bumper sticker. T-shirt slogan, I don't know. One slogan I'm loving right now is where it just says love. I think that's telling and fun and happy. It's not so much a slogan. It's a single word, and there's no political movement necessarily behind it or economic idea behind it. It's just, I don't know, it's nice. I like it. I find pleasure in it. So next question. Question number 257. What's your favorite aroma or fragrance? Well, I've been enjoying some of the Blue men's colognes. Some of the colognes that are light and smell like the sea. I don't know if they smell like the sea, but they're advertised or marketed as being aqua colognes. I'm enjoying that right now. Of course, I also love some of the scents that smell like leather, and leather, I guess, would be how you describe it. I like a lot of the other manly scents. I like the feminine scents too. The flowers. Now, there's some scents that I really don't care for. For example, I'm not a big fan of, say, English roses, the scent of English roses. I do not have really, positive, powerful sort of affinity for the English rose scent. I'm not sure why. All right. Question number 258. What's your favorite spectator sport, and how often do you watch it? My favorite spectator sport. Well, my favorite spectator sport right now is volleyball. And how often do I watch it? Almost never. I don't watch a lot of spectator sports. Now, what was the last spectator sport that I watched? That's an interesting question to me. Volleyball. I think it was volleyball. Volleyball is interesting because it's exciting, and I recognize the skill that the players need to have in order to play it. And it's available, at least here in California. At the beach, people are playing volleyball almost all the time. And, it's available. I also like watching basketball. And I also enjoy watching football at times. Although it's been a real long time since I've been to a football game. Going to a basketball game is more the norm. I like the basketball game because often the games are indoors and you don't have to worry about weather so much. But basketball can be fun to watch. Yeah. So I guess if you're really asking me what's my favorite sort of conventional sporting event that I can watch, spectator event, I would say it would be basketball. Of course, I also like people watching too, but I don't think that's a sport necessarily. Is people watching a sport? Maybe maybe in and of itself. Okay, so question number 259. What's one of your favorite summer activities to do with family or friends? Well, for me, it's going on picnics. And I also like day trips. Picnics, day trips, those are my favorite. I think I'm a really big fan of picnics. And in fact, I don't know if you noticed, but during the producing of this video, I've been reminiscing about some past picnics that I've had. And I'm really looking forward to this spring and summer. I hope to go on a lot of picnics, and I'm really looking forward to it. I actually have in the back of my vehicle, in the back of my minivan, I've got 2 picnic blankets. That's right, ready to go. So I'm looking forward to using them in the future. Okay. Question number 260. Do you prefer to plan your vacation or be spontaneous, and why? Well, I actually mostly prefer being spontaneous, but there's a trade-off. You also often miss certain activities because they're not planned if you are too spontaneous. And that can be a problem. I do not really care for over-planned activities, but I don't know, sometimes it's good. Sometimes it's preferred. I've been on like vacations that have been highly planned, and those could be a lot of fun. But I think you also tend to miss some stuff too if you overplan a vacation. Sometimes, and vacations to me are meant to be fun. They're about downtime, they're about relaxation and recreation. And if you're really focused on timing, like when events start and when they stop, then I don't know, that may take some of the enjoyment out of the vacation time, right? You're doing less and less relaxing. Time pressure is a thing. And, when you really plan something, maybe if you over plan something, then time pressure is all that's going on, And let me tell you, during the week days, normally when I'm not on vacation, there's plenty of time pressure. I don't necessarily want that during my vacation periods. Yeah. So I guess I'm going to wrap things up here. First of all, I want to say just how much I enjoy our relationship, and I'm really optimistic about the future. And I want to acknowledge the fact that a lot of people in relationships struggle. Having challenges in a relationship is normal. And for me, what's been true about the challenges in our relationship is that I've been able to, interpret them as being, just, part of the territory. And I recognize how the actions that I've taken have been supporting me and you at the same time. I've just made strides, personal strides, in terms of my own social behavior and my presentation and communication skills. And, I've done a lot of growing in our relationship. And I'm proud about the progress that we've made over the years. It's not easy to pull together a father-daughter relationship. It's not easy. It's not easy to pull together families, particularly in this age of distraction, right? This information age. And so, I'm happy about the progress that we've made, and I'm happy about where we are. I think we're doing fine. We're sort of in a nice steady state position, and I hope that you're reaping a lot of benefit and enjoyment from our relationship. I'm hoping that it's making your life more wonderful. I know that it's making my life more wonderful. I'm glad for all the meaning that it gives to me, and This is our journey, right? As it unfolds. And I'm excited. I'm excited about what the future holds. And I'm grateful for having the time I've had with you in the past. And so it's all good, man. It's all good. It's all good. I want you to know that I am committed to our relationship, and I am here to support you. And I am planning to support you as you continue through high school and graduate high school and then go into college and then enter whatever phase of your life you choose next. And I'm looking forward to uh, seeing those changes, maybe even being a part of some of those changes. And, I'm glad. I'm glad for it. I have a glad heart. And I think I've really been sort of admiring from a distance about how you're managing your school, your education, and how you're keeping yourself healthy and injury free. That is really important. I also have a sense that you're managing your teenagehood really well. And a lot of people when in their teenage years struggle from depression and anxiety and emotional upset. And I have a sense that you're acing this game. And I'm so glad to at least have that sense. There are a lot of kids who struggle about this age because of the changes that go on in their families and in their lives, as they move from middle school to high school. And I know you've just started high school, but I really do think that you've are really making it work. I mean, you're in track and field and you're doing your classes. That's tough. You're probably managing your friendships. And, I know for a kid, particularly a teenager, that could be a real trial at times. And so, anyway, I'm happy that you're doing well. And so, with that, I want to mention just how much I love you, how much I'm committed to you, how much I'm committed to our relationship as a pair, as a father-daughter pair. I want you to know that I'm still curious about you and what's going on in your life, what you're thinking about, what your life is like. I'm curious about how you like your math classes and your English class and your science classes. And I'm curious about what kind of artwork you're doing. And so I'm open to hearing all about it. And I invite you to reach out anytime through text messaging or phone calls or FaceTime or email or whatever mode that makes sense and is desirable. I'm here. I'm only a click away. I'm only a phone call away. And so, I'm really glad that I've had a chance to sort of at least be in proximity to you by living in the same city. A lot of parents, um, sometimes they're not even in the same city as their children. And so I'm glad we're living so close. I think we're probably only living like 2 miles away or anything or something like that. Maybe 3 miles away from each other. That's fantastic. So we've got a lot of good things going for us. And I just want to remind you of that and let you know that I acknowledge that. And yeah, it's wonderful. Well, girl, I hope you have an amazing day today at school. And I hope you have an amazing week. I hope you have a wonderful weekend coming up. In fact, I think I'm planning on going to Six Flags Magic Mountain this Friday. And so I'll update you on my travels. I'll send you some photographs, maybe send you a little movie about it. And Sounds like fun. Maybe we can talk about it when I get back. Anyway, talk to you later, girl. I love you very much. Peace. Have a wonderful day.